comfortable with you. I feel like
That's gotta be Kane. The Edmonton Oilers offload their troubled, but sometimes good, but still sometimes troubled forward to the Vancouver Canucks. The Boston Celtics deal off a ton of money. We get ready for the NBA draft plus WWE Monday Night Raw, AEW Dynamite. We got a whole lot to cover, so let's get right into it here on Couch Potato Diary Live. Welcome everyone, oh that's overcorrection. Welcome everyone to Couch Potato Diary. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you guys very much for hanging out today. As always, we are presented by Sea of Dead. Check out seaofdead403.ca for that Calgary swag. We got this new Cannons hat that is looking good. Plus we got the YYC Greek Pizza worst shirt that is up right now as well. That is comma. YYC Greek Pizza and worst shirt looking amazing. So head over there and rep this city. Also, we're going to be at Mugs on Saturday as Can-Am Wrestling is going to be over at Mugs, so really looking forward to it. Should be a fun time. Come say hi if you are in the area. Also, this episode is powered by Swift Energy. Head over to swiftenergy.gg. Use the code PKPrimetime at checkout to get 25% off of your next order. If we're doing games, we got a lot of fights coming up. It's draft night in the NBA, so we're going to need that energy. Head over to swiftenergy.gg and use that code PK Prime Time. Also, if you want to help out the show, just hit that subscribe button, and also we could help out with a hitting that notification button as well. We got Connor in the chat asking, hey PK, are you doing a Q&A? Not in a direct way, like I have things planned, but if you have any cues, I will absolutely A them as we go along. Just if you are sending questions in the chat and it's not exactly about what we are talking about in this exact moment, hold tight, I will get to it, just maybe not in the actual segment that we were talking about. But yes, always taking questions. Whatever you want to ask about, whatever you want to talk about, by all means, put them in the chat, and I will answer any questions that you may have. So, yeah. Would love to, honestly, a lot of the best segments come from the questions from you guys in the chat, because y'all are quite a bit smarter than I am. So thank you, Connor, for hanging out, watching over on YouTube today. But we'll begin in the world of the National Hockey League as I don't want to call it blockbuster, because it's not that, but a trade, anyway, has happened in the NHL with Evander Kane on his way to the Vancouver Canucks, and I don't understand it from the Vancouver standpoint. So let's talk about it. The Vancouver Canucks have added Evander Kane to their roster, taking him from the Edmonton Oilers for a 4th round pick. And honestly, I don't get this at all from a Vancouver standpoint. First and foremost, you bail out the Oilers from what is looking like a difficult salary cap situation. It is why I got so frustrated at the Sharks for helping out with the Cody CC thing last year, and just take this giant problem off of our hands for nothing, really. You add drama to your room when you are just coming off of a season where drama was a big problem for your team, right? Like to make this move mere months after you go on just an absolutely season-altering slide, sending JT Miller out the door to try to get some kind of peace and calm, the next move generally shouldn't be Evander Kane coming into your room. So I don't get this from that perspective at all. Also, he had a better playoff than he did a season before, but I thought as the postseason went on, he was pretty quiet, and he is pretty up and down as a player. So I don't think he is worth the contract. I certainly don't think he is worth the headache, and I don't think he is worth this trade for the Vancouver Canucks. I don't see the upside here at all. What is the best case scenario? This isn't replacing Brock Besser. They have a ton of just middle six guys who aren't super difference makers on this team anyway. I just don't see what you are doing here. We were talking about it at various different parts over the last couple of days. I thought Edmonton was going to have to attach a pick to get out from Evander Kane. And the fact that they don't and get a 4th round pick back for him is beyond comprehension to me for Vancouver to do this. So I think it is just L's across the board for the Vancouver Canucks. The one thing this does kind of signify, though, for Vancouver is they're going to try to be competitive. They're going to try to pivot from Brock Besser, and they're going to try to be a winning hockey team. I was wondering if there would just be a full reset after everything that happened with JT Miller. It didn't really go well with Elias Pettersson, and so now, okay, it's, you know what? Had a bit of a run. I mean, not as good as we probably should have given the high-end talent that we had, but it's time to just move forward and try to figure something else out. Instead, now it looks like they are going to pivot and try to make this an actual competitive hockey team. They have about $7 million in salary cap space right now. That they do need a number 2 center. They need that to be a player who can score as well. That would be a very good thing because they just don't have a lot of, I was going to say secondary scoring. They don't really have a whole lot of primary scoring if Pettersson isn't going. Like, DeBrusk is good, but they need goals. And I mean, the main question out there, like all these different things, we can say all we want, but the main question is what's the status of Thatcher Demko? If he is going to be healthy, then this team can be competitive. If he is not, then this is a middle of the road, back end of the lottery type of a hockey team. So they have a lot of questions that need to be answered in Vancouver, and this trade does not answer any of them. In fact, it brings up quite a few more. We're going to get to the Oilers' standpoint of this in just a second, but if you could help spread the word of Couch Potato Diary, that would be great. Make sure you hit that share button, share this video with your friends, and like 3 people who you don't like. Just throw them off a little bit. On the Oilers side of things, this helps them out, I think, quite a bit. They needed salary cap space. They get salary cap space. They're not eating a lick of this contract and get a 4th round pick for it, which it's just the fuck, you know? But right now they have $17 million in salary cap space. They have a lot, like basically anyone who you would consider a depth forward on this team is a free agent. So they have an entire forward depth group to fill out. But the big one is obviously Evan Bouchard and what you do with him now as an RFA. You probably need to fix the goaltending issues as well. But the Bouchard part is the biggest one. And this is what this deal helps out the most, is their ability to now bring in an Evan Bouchard or I guess keep him along for the ride here out in Edmonton. And I think this helps them out so much in being able to do that now. With 17 million in cap space, you have to think he's taking 10, probably. Like, I don't think I would, but 10 would kind of be where I think that they would go. So I think that this still gives them a little bit of room to play with to lock up a few of those depth guys and be able to try to run it back as much as possible. So that this helps them out a lot. It is not mission accomplished out in Edmonton, but it is a big step in the right direction. Connor in the chat, Shelovs, Lankinen, and Demko. Waiver status dictates they basically only keep 2. What do you think they do? Demko to Oilers, was there maybe a futures component to the Kane trade? Like just a kind of a little bit down the road, like, hey, did this solid took this guy on? You might need to take Thatcher Demko for us at some point. That would be the type of like kind of home run swing the Oilers maybe need to try between the pipes, because the Skinner situation went so south and Pickard is still just a backup goalie. Demko, when he is healthy, is one of the best goalies in the league, and it is just about keeping him healthy. And so if Edmonton thinks they can, that would be an interesting spot for them. Lankinen did a good job of keeping them in it last season in Vancouver, but I don't know if that is the guy. And Shelov's coming off of what was a miraculous couple of games in the playoffs this last year, and now the Abbotsford Canucks go on a run to the Calder Cup, hoisting that one yesterday. I don't know if Lankinen and Shelov's is enough to keep this team competitive, but Demko if it's just not going to work, it's not going to work. And if you're looking to trade one of them, even with the injury issues, he is still the one who can get you probably the most in any kind of a deal. So yeah, Connor, I wonder, as Connor messaged that in the YouTube chat, I do wonder, Connor, if there is some kind of a secondary Vancouver Edmonton type of a move here, and just like let Edmonton get their cap situation figured out, see how much they have, how much space they have, and then see what kind of a move is then possible with that, with Demko being a unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. So that would be an interesting landing spot for him. It would be one heck of a roll of the dice for Edmonton, and if it paid off, that could be the thing that gets them to the Stanley Cup. So I think that is a very interesting note there for Vancouver, that yes, they do have a couple of issues that they need to figure out, but one of them is they need to figure out who their actual starting goalie is, because I don't know if you could pass any of those guys, or either Shelovs, or I guess it would be Shelovs at this point. I don't think you can pass them through waivers. So yeah, I do wonder what they do out there. I would think probably, like, he is the best of them, but that means you could get the best return, and maybe you can figure out a bit more of a scoring thing. Although if you're trading him to Edmonton, it's probably a bit more of a picks and prospects sort of a thing. But no, I think that is an interesting point there, Connor. Absolutely. So it's a fun time of year to be a hockey fan, right? Like we're talking trades. We're getting ready for the draft on Friday. Going to do a draft preview coming up tomorrow. So we got a lot to talk about, and a lot of balls up in the air. I have the old X notifications on right now, and I have my phone in front of me. But if anyone sees anything, let me know, because we want to react to this stuff as quickly as possible. We are streaming this live here today on youtube.com/@CouchPotatoDiary, twitch.tv/PrimetimePK, and kick.com/PrimetimePK. But if you miss any of it, or you just want it on the go with you, we got new episodes of Couch Potato Diary dropping at least 5 times a week over on Spotify, as well as on Apple Podcasts. So bring us with you wherever you go. The NHL, not the only league getting busy with trades, as the NBA has been picking up and picking up and picking up. So we got a lot to discuss as the Boston Celtics make a couple pretty big moves, moving Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Let's first start with the move that sends Drew Holiday out to Portland. Again. So, the Boston Celtics are moving on and moving in a completely different direction with the injury to Jason Tatum. The first of 2 moves that they made was sending Drew Holiday off to the Portland Trail Blazers. In return, it is Anthony Simons and a couple second-round picks coming back for Boston. So let's start on the Celtics side of this first, as the champions from a couple of seasons ago now, and the team that seemed to have the most immediate title aspirations that went down, as Jason Tatum did. I think this is a good pivot for them. It is a pretty hard turn away from the defensive identity. Like Anthony Simons and Drew Holiday are exactly the same in exactly 0 ways. So it is a bit of a pivot, I guess, strategically and in roster construction. But with Tatum going down with the injury, like, Brown is good, but he is not lead the offense type of good. And I'm not saying, like, okay, well, now they have Simons, so championship. But what I am saying is that this is a team that probably needed the scoring punch that Simons can provide. And so for him to be able now to go out and help out on the offense with no Tatum, we'll talk about her in a second, with no Porzingis, and with Brown, I mean, he's a good offensive player. Like, we're not talking about Ben Wallace here or anything like that, but this is a bit of a scoring punch, and there will be nights where he and Pritchard just go berserk from distance and offensively, and that will win them games, and that will keep them competitive, at least in the Eastern Conference. And so I think for them that this is, while it is a pretty hard shift, I think this is a pretty good pivot for them to be able to move now in that direction. So bravo to them for being able to pull this one off. And I think it does show that they are going to try to stay, somewhat competitive-ish. This year is going to be a bit of a reset year for them because the players that they acquired are unrestricted free agents at the end of the season. So it's not like these are long-term commitments. I know this is a long-term goal. This is let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can put together here over the next 365 days before we get to the 2026-2027 offseason. What does it mean for Portland? We'll get to that in a second. But if you do want to support Couch Potato Diary, Again, I say this a lot. I feel weird doing these because just you watching, taking the time out to consume anything that I'm doing is so huge for me, and I appreciate it greatly. Also, if you do want to financially support, you can subscribe over on Twitch. We have Deeds, who is celebrating his Sweet 16 with 16 months celebrating here, and love Deeds for that. But we also have the tip jar that is available. It is on the Twitch and Kick with the panels, and YouTube. There is a link in the channel and link in the description of this video. Sorry, that can get you there. So would mean the world to me if you did. Not a requirement, not expected, not a prerequisite, any of those things. It would just help out a lot if you were able to do that. We got my dog in here. Her love for treats would be greatly benefited with some tips there. On the Portland side, I like this move for them quite a bit. Yeah, Deeds, exactly. Yes, thank you. That's it's tough to not make just the tip jokes with all of those, but yeah, Deeds in the Twitch chat, give Peter a tip just to see how it feels. The stream is taking quite the turn here in just a little bit, but look, I think Portland feels good coming off of this trade now as well. This isn't the type of player that is signing with Portland. Drew Holiday. He is a high-level, I think, culture changer, and someone who he feels like the finishing piece to a championship puzzle. That's what he was out in Boston. That type of a dude isn't signing with the Celtics. And when you look at the identity of the two teams that just went to the NBA Finals, with the Pacers and with the Thunder, he fits that. He is in that mold so very well. So this one makes a whole lot of sense if you're looking to do that and to try to build a winner that way instead of trying to hope that you fall into a draft spot and can draft the next superstar. This seems like okay, let's just go out and get some dogs and see what we can do to build this around now. Scoot Henderson, I think it works. I think it is a really, really smart move. And so I like this a lot for Portland. The West is so scary competitive. So does this make them even a play-in team? I don't know. I don't think so. But Simons definitely wasn't. It wasn't necessarily the right fit given where they want to go again with Scoot. So I think this works for them. I think that I really, really like this move for Portland in just trying to get competitive now and trying to be a better basketball team. So I think they did a great job on this move. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the chat if I'm overreacting to any of the sides of any of the trades here today. But by all means, let me know what you guys think. I'm just rambling on about trades here. Also, if you want any updates on Couch Potato Diary, things tend to be all over the place schedule-wise. So keep it locked on my social media accounts, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. I am at Primetime Klein. That not the only move the Boston Celtics made, as Kristaps Porzingis is on his way to Atlanta. I think it's an interesting move. So let's break it all down, shall we? The Boston Celtics are continuing their teardown. First, it was Drew Holiday. Then it was Kristaps Porzingis as he is on his way to the Atlanta Hawks. It's a 3-team deal, a bunch of pieces going all over the place. But let's just focus on the Hawks side of this and the Celtics side of this. I like this for Boston and for Atlanta. I think for Boston, again, it's about the money. And we can have a bigger conversation about if this is actually good for the NBA or not. But for how the NBA is structured at this particular time, this is about the money. It gets them under the second apron. I think it gets them pretty close to under the luxury tax as well. And so both of those things, to be able to get under them in a season where you are not expecting to be championship level competitive, I think it makes a whole lot of sense for them and helps them out greatly when you are looking at the flexibility of your roster and different moves that you can make in the years ahead. So I think that this is some very, very smart maneuvering from Brad Stevens and company to put all of this together and be able to come out of it with like a relatively competitive-ish looking basketball team. Like, you look at the pieces that they bring in, and this one, it's George Niang and picks and some other stuff, but like Niang is fine as a basketball player. I actually kind of like him. And so I think that there is a world where he is a pretty productive piece for the Celtics. So they get less expensive and you get a lot more flexibility out of your roster. And you get players that are good enough that they can still be competitive-ish in the Eastern Conference. So I think that this is a good move and a very good bit of GMing from Brad Stevens between the Drew Holiday one and the Kristaps Porzingis one. It is a bit of a changing of the guard, I suppose, out in Boston, right? Like this was a championship team that looked like it was going to be set up for a while. And then Tatum gets hurt, Porzingis gets sick, and they're out in the second round, and now looking down the barrel of, man, this is going to be an expensive team to finish third in the East next year and get bounced in the second round, so let's pivot. These contracts are up at the end of the season. It gives them some financial wiggle room to really attack the offseason and put that kind of nucleus back together. As mentioned before, this one is streaming over on twitch.tv/primetimepk. Had a bit of a technical issue over there yesterday, but we're hoping to do another video game stream coming up today at 3 p.m. Going to be doing more basketball, a little bit of NBA 2K as we get ready for the draft coming up this evening. On the Atlanta side, I think this makes them a very intriguing team, with the understanding that Porzingis' health is questionable at times. It doesn't necessarily, you can't just pencil him in for 65 games, but even not being the biggest Trae Young fan, you have to say, like, Trae Young with Porzingis is a very interesting combination. You can do a 5-out thing. You can have him kind of draw some attention as well. So I like this a lot. And then when you consider getting Johnson back from injury, you have another year of Risa. You have LeVert and Okongwu on the bench. Dyson Daniels. Like, there are quite a few good pieces on this Atlanta team. They have a trade exception that they can use. Those tend to get overblown quite a bit, but they do literally have that thing. So this is an Atlanta team that could be sneaky competitive all of a sudden. Kind of like what is being built out with the Atlanta Hawks, even if I'm not the biggest fan of the foundation that they're building on with Trae Young. So look, I think that this is a series of trades that actually works out on all sides and puts all of these teams, I think, in a better spot considering what their goals were going into this. So very, very excited to see where things go. The reason a lot of it is happening is the NBA draft. It goes down tonight. It feels like the first couple picks are locked in, and then after that, could be a fun night. So let's talk some NBA draft and get ready for the proceedings tonight. The NBA draft gets going this evening, and there is very little in terms of drama at the top of it, but the drama will pick up very, very quick. Let's break down what could be happening here in the NBA draft here tonight. The first two picks feel locked in, right? Like, it's Cooper Flagg. It is the obvious number one and a huge boost for the Dallas Mavericks. They get rid of Luka. Kyrie Irving is dealing with an injury. This gives them quite a bit of flexibility now to be able to put together a pretty good basketball team with Flagg. Like, you think of it, like, obviously there is no replacing Luka, but when healthy, you still have now Cooper Flagg, who we all think is going to be very, very good. PJ Washington, who I like a lot, Gafford and Lively, and AD. Like, there's probably a couple moves that need to be made. Oh, and Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters of all time. Like, all of a sudden, you are looking at a team that still feels like they're in a pretty okay spot in the West if everyone can stay healthy. Now, health was a major issue for them a year ago, but if everyone can stay healthy, that is a pretty dangerous basketball team. And then Dylan Harper, he's getting a lot of, like, star buzz and could be a home run for San Antonio. Also, I don't love some of the, oh, well, Harper and Fox, they can't play together, so you have to make this move immediately. It's like, can we see it? Can we see it for a couple of months before we just decide, oh yeah, no, this isn't going to work? Like, we have seen Harper play exactly 0 seconds of NBA basketball. So let's just see, let's just wait and see before it's like, oh, well, those two guys' styles, they don't mix at all. Like, there's ways you can make it work. I trust the Spurs to be able to make that work. Of any organization ever, I trust the Spurs to be able to make that work. And if it doesn't, De'Aaron Fox can still be traded in January. So I feel like some of that was a little overblown. After this is where it gets interesting, because Edgecombe feels like he is really the one who was kind of pulled ahead as the obvious number 3. But I am very surprised the 76ers are still in this spot. I just felt with Daryl Morey really being someone who goes aggressively after superstars, for them to still have the 3rd pick and not to use this trade asset as a trade asset, and push for another big player. Now, we talked the other day, there aren't a whole lot of them out there. And the one that is, like John Morant, that you don't need to do that because you have Maxey, right? So I know that it's, oh, well, trade for a star. Okay, cool. Who? So there is a little bit of that going on here with the 76ers, but I really did think that they would be moving on from this pick by now. So I am a little surprised that as we sit here recording, and a lot could change, it's 11 o'clock Mountain Time here on draft day, I'm surprised that the 76ers are still in that spot. The big story, it seems like the big drama, is Ace Bailey. As all reports indicate, he is just no-showing different workouts and sandbagging a lot of different other ones. It sounds like he is trying to push his way to one particular team. Some people are drawing a line to him in Brooklyn, who have the 8th pick in the draft. You don't love this sort of a thing. And this is another one. We talked about it in the NFL draft with Shedeur Sanders, where you kind of look at Ace Bailey as, like, maybe being failed by his representation. Now, maybe the kid's just a dick, right? Like, maybe this is just him not being the most well put together individual, and he is the one driving this bus and all of that. But it seems like it is his representation, much like it happened with Shedeur. It seems like this is his representation that is pretty much doing him dirty in these spots. So I am hoping that that's the case, and this kid actually does have a good head on his shoulders, but I'll be very interested to see where he goes, because there was a lot of talk about him being like a top 2 or 3 pick. Harper has certainly pulled ahead in that, but then it was basically like, yeah, he's going to be probably 3rd after that, and now he has fallen, and now the talk is maybe 8th to Brooklyn, seeing some mock drafts with him going 6th to Washington as well. As for my Toronto Raptors, where's my wish list today? It's a couple of guys. One is Malawak, the young kid out of Duke. Seems like the type of, like, center rim protector guy that the Raptors have been missing since 19. Basically, since that guy over there was winning championships for the Raptors, it feels like they have needed that type of a presence down low. So he would be very intriguing for the Raptors, but it does kind of seem like there have been a lot of things that aren't necessarily clicking with that, and you might see a couple of guys or a couple of teams get him before the Raptors. The other one is I haven't had to pronounce this kid's name yet. The German kid, Enge? No, that wouldn't be it. Either way, look him up. He seems like a Raptor, right? Like he has a shooting touch that fits the Raptors team, and not in a great way. But aside from that, he's really long, defensively versatile, makes them another threat for them. There is the one question that, like, his team is playing in the German championship right now. And he is going off and doing private workouts with the Raptors and getting ready for the green room at the NBA draft. So, you have a bit of concern about that sort of a thing. But there you go. A couple guys on the wish list. One of them's name I could even pronounce. Probably should have checked that one before we got in. But still, I think an intriguing player for the Raptors. And they're another one that I would be surprised if they picked at 9, whether it's up or down. There's a lot of buzz about Toronto right now. They are a team that seems like they could make things pretty interesting as we get into draft time here coming up in just a few hours. Keep the chats coming in, whether it's on YouTube, Kick, or Twitch. Keep adding to the conversation here as we pivot now to the Canadian Football League, as it is week 4. Week 4 already in the CFL. It's time to break it all down. Here are my picks for this week in the Canadian Football League. Week 4 in the CFL is here, and we starting to learn a little bit about these teams. A reminder that if you want the best bets of the week in the Canadian Football League, you can check out my piece now over on 3 Down Nation. All right, let's just run through this here. Edmonton against Winnipeg. Man, I don't know who Mark Killam pissed off. It's certainly none of the players, because everyone loves him. But to start your Edmonton Elks career with Montreal, BC, and Winnipeg, someone is mad at this man and putting that together, because that is a rough way to go about life as a first-time head coach. I have already admitted that I was a little too bullish on Edmonton coming into this year with all the turnover they have, with a young quarterback who hasn't really been a starter for an extended period of time and a first-time head coach. There were going to be some growing pains, and I didn't fully appreciate the amount of pain that the growing would take to get to a good team. I still think this is going to be a good group, but this is a Winnipeg defense that is going to give, I think, Trey Ford quite a few problems. And so I think Winnipeg kind of smothers Edmonton in this spot, and I think they come away with a victory. Montreal taking on Hamilton. The Alouettes might be without Davis Alexander. He's missing practice again, but someone pointed out on social media, he missed basically the whole week of practice last year in August and then played against Saskatchewan. So there is still an opportunity for him to play, but they have a good backup, McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Like, he is not my cup of tea. We've talked about that on here before, but with the weapons they have on offense, and Mac and Thomas Erlington also are on the injured list, but you still have Tyson Philpott. Sneed has become a very reliable target for this offense as well, and you have a very good coaching mind in Jason Moss. I don't think the step back is going to be that bad, and you're taking on a Hamilton defense that has struggled through a couple of weeks of the season. I think the scoreboards have been pretty generous to Hamilton in the last couple of weeks, and so I think that this is going to be a tough spot for them, regardless of who is playing quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes this week. So I think Montreal does get the job done and picks up a victory this week. We move out to Saskatchewan as the BC Lions take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. BC has been a bit of a tough team for me to get a handle on. They have played really well against bad teams and got beat up by the good team they played in Winnipeg. So it's a tough team to really get a grasp on. While Saskatchewan, you want to talk about a tough time getting a grasp on a team. They look like world beaters for long stretches of their games, and then they just take the foot off the gas and just ease up. And that works against Hamilton, against Toronto, against Ottawa. I don't think it's going to work against BC. I think this is going to be a close game. I do think Saskatchewan wins, but I do think BC will do enough to keep this game close and give Saskatchewan at least a few problems and give Rider fans another elevated heart rate game. So we'll see. If Saskatchewan can finally put together a 60-minute effort, I still think this is one of the more complete teams in the Canadian Football League. It's just we haven't seen it, and we haven't seen it against teams that you should see it against. Toronto taking on Ottawa. The Argos are just decimated by injuries right now. So even with Coach Dinwiddie really firing up and getting the boys after it, after that loss against Saskatchewan, I just don't see it. Ottawa dealing with some injuries at quarterback as well, but I just think that the roster in Toronto right now is too depleted and too banged up and in too much of a tough spot for them to really put any kind of a threat out there against Ottawa here this week. So I have Ottawa winning that one. Again, if you want more from a betting perspective, you can check out my piece right now over on 3 Down, the best bets for week 4 in the Canadian Football League. All right. Time to get into the wrestling, as WWE Monday Night Raw built us up to Saturday night's main event and Night of Champions this weekend and other things. So let's dive right into it, coming off of what was a pretty entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. WWE is on the road to Night of Champions, and if you want more on Night of Champions, we broke that down in previous videos this week, and just the complicated situation that is going on with that one in Saudi Arabia and everything that is happening in that part of the world. And again, just hoping and praying that everyone is safe in that situation. But let's get on now to what happened on Monday Night Raw. And I thought the real highlight of this were the promos that we got from Goldberg and Gunther ahead of Saturday night's main event. Goldberg's promo, it was the sit-down one, it was heavily edited and a pre-tape, but it comes across just so authentic. That has been this great part of this final chapter of Goldberg's run, when he does all the stuff with like Lashley and Lesnar and I think some Kevin Owens in there as well. Like this kind of the gray beard run of Bill Goldberg. He has done a great job of being able to integrate his real, like how he actually is, and basically just being himself with that intensity just turned up just a little bit more. And so I think because we have seen like more interviews of him in documentaries and everything, and now how he comes across here, it just comes across like he is just genuine and authentic and legitimately a badass. So I think this was a really good promo to just get you fired up and just get you into the Goldberg mystique. You don't watch him limp his way down to the ring, but he still has that intensity about him. This one a little bit more calm than some of the other "you're next" stuff, but there is still something about Bill Goldberg that can get you excited, and so I thought he was great. And then counter to that, I thought Gunther's promo was fantastic. It showed that he is taking him seriously, which again, like we have seen, Gunther is just like, oh, you mean nothing to me. It doesn't matter. And then something happens, and now all of a sudden, I hate you. And this is a blood feud. We've seen that a couple of times with Gunther. Sorry, swing of water for the working man. Sorry, definitely could have muted the mic there, but, you know, live and all that. But, like, Gunther, the progression, it is a little one note at times where I don't take you seriously. Now I take you seriously and I must end you. But he is so good at it that it flows. And some of the one-liners here, I'm going to apologize to his wife and children for what I'm going to do to the man that used to be Goldberg, was just, oh my God. And then it is my personal responsibility to make sure that the myth and legacy of Bill Goldberg forever dies. Now, WWE probably not stoked that the crowd cheered that line, but that was a line. That was a line. And just an excellent, serious promo from Gunther, really getting you ready for Saturday night's main event. And I think really driving home that maybe he is not the biggest star, but Gunther is the best in the world right now, certainly when it comes to WWE and probably everywhere else. Cody is going back to the King of the Ring final. The match with Jey Uso, I thought was great. I know that Jey's wrestling isn't for everyone, but this was a fantastic showing. The crowd was into it. The match had a really good flow. It built up to a couple of very good moments. And when Jey hits that crossroads on Cody, that got a real, like, pop for that near fall. So the people are into the Jey Uso rise, for sure, still. And I thought it was great. I am, obviously, like, I think Cody is the way to go at Night of Champions. That one seems pretty predictable now at this point to go with him and John Cena at SummerSlam. But on the other side of this, I'm interested to see where Jey goes now. He is still viewed as a main eventer. The crowd still loves him. And so the follow-up for this is going to be very important to see what direction they can go with Jey Uso. So I'm I am interested to see the follow-up because obviously he is going to hang around this top picture, I think, for a little bit. On the women's side, Jade Cargill is going to the Queen of the Ring final. She beats Roxanne Perez in a really fun match. I think that it was pretty competitive, and they let both of them shine. And honestly, I think this was probably the best singles match that Jade has had. And I like that it isn't just a big squash for Roxanne. That, like, Roxy leaves this match feeling elevated and feeling like she is in a bigger spot, even in defeat. And that is, again, you listen to Jim Ross's podcast and you hear him, he's like, it's a TV show. You should be able to lose. If you can't lose, then your character sucks. Because if the only way your character's good is if we beat you, or is if you beat everybody, it's not that. You probably don't have that strong of a character. And so for Roxy to be able to be elevated coming off of a loss like this, I thought was great. And the interesting direction with her now, we did the video for Living Room Lariat this week, where talking about how Roxy feels like the best fit now to come in for a Liv Morgan. You get her helping out Raquel, and now slowly getting her way into that. So I think that there is a very, very good thing happening here with Roxy Perez. And now for Jade, like, again, I feel like she feels like she is the favorite coming up on Saturday afternoon against Asuka, and probably getting an opportunity against Tiffany Stratton in what will be an interesting test, I think, for both, because the Tiffany babyface run and title run has not been great. But she is a fantastic performer. And you have Jade, who still needs some work. And is Tiffany that type who can be able to pull that kind of a championship level match out of her? So I'm interested to see the direction of the characters and everything like that. But, maybe getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit in this particular one. Bouncing around here a little bit, but the opening promo from Seth Rollins. I have said before, I am not the biggest fan of Seth Rollins. That being said, this was a structurally sound promo. It got the crowd invested, and it was entertaining for 15 minutes. That being said, it was a 15-minute promo at the start of your show, which is a go-home show for a premium live event this weekend, and then you got like 19 other things to go, and this advanced nothing. It was 15 minutes of talking, I was entertained by it, and that was it. In terms of progressing anything at all, it didn't really do that. So, cool, but we need more. This group is fun. I like how it is set up. I like it a lot. We need a name, and we need this to progress now a little bit from just they beat people up every week, and then Seth Rollins comes out and, I'm a revolutionary. We need more than that now. Penta and Braun Breaker put on just an absolute show. Like, watching this match, my brain went to, I could see this as a main event at WrestleMania. I really could. Like, Braun Breaker is so captivating in the ring, and we've been watching him for so long, and the athleticism and the explosiveness and the creativity that is now just coming out of this kid. Like that, the first part is figuring out how to harness that so that he's not killing himself, basically, in the ring, or others. Okay, check. But now, all right, we gotta, in the best way possible, we got a freak on our hands. Not in the Scott Steiner way that he would refer to as freaks, but you know what I mean. We got something here. What are some ways that we can make this even more compelling from a television standpoint? And I think Penta can bring a lot out of him there. So honestly, I thought that these two both, again, elevated themselves as much as you can on a Monday Night Raw match. Braun, just everything about him feels like a superstar. And Penta, we've known that for a long time. He does get kind of sucked back into the Chad Gable vortex at some point. Gable shit talks him and then breaks his arm, which is going to lead to a lot of interesting things coming out with El Grande Americano. And you could see the little Easter egg of Ludwig Kaiser walking in the background. And a lot of people pointed out, if we're going for someone with a similar build to Chad Gable, it's not it's not corporate things that wants us to look at these two pictures, although they're exact same. But there's something there. It's similar enough that you can go with it with Ludwig Kaiser. So I am interested in that. Becky Lynch and Bayley put on a show for the Intercontinental Championship. I thought they were having an excellent match before the interference. And even with that, I thought it was done well. Like the constant teases of Becky looking for a disqualification, looking for a countout. It happened enough that you just kind of thought, this isn't going to happen. And then it did. And so I thought, really strong match. Becky and Bayley flow so well together. And I know, like, of the four horsewomen, these aren't going to be the rivals that you remember from either of them, but their in-ring chemistry is just fantastic. And so again, talking about Mania main events, I would love to see these two really get that level of a spotlight. And it seems like they're going to get something at SummerSlam, as this is definitely going to be Evolution with Lyra tied in, but I think that this can progress to that point. I think a triple threat with Lyra is going to be just a fantastic match. I like that she's not forgotten in all of this. I think I would have liked something a little bit fresher, like just pivot away from this world a bit more, but I do think that this will be fun. And then lastly, Karrion Kross gets his match with Sami Zayn. It feels like we're starting to get to an advancement with Sami here. And as I've said, like, he is an awesome performer. It's a great character. But something does need to advance with this guy now. And so I think there's an opportunity to be able to do that with the Sami Zayn character. So overall, really entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. And again, a reminder, Living Room Lariat. There is a new wrestling podcast from Couch Potato Diary. Living Room Lariat. We're going to have a ton of wrestling on there. It is all the wrestling segments from the week on Couch Potato Diary, all into one. So if you were watching for the wrestling today and you didn't necessarily want to sit through my picks on the Canadian Football League, there's going to be a spot for you every Friday. It is going to be up first thing in the morning on Friday to lead you into SmackDown or whatever is happening on the PLEs. It's going to be there. You can now subscribe over on Spotify. Look up Living Room Lariat wherever. Not right now. It is just on Spotify. Going to expand it out once the episodes start flowing through there. But yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of the stuff you hear on the flagship stuff, plus some exclusive content that isn't going to be on the podcast here. So I'm really excited about having a wrestling specific venture here for Couch Potato Diary. One more stop on the wrestling train today as we get ready for AEW Dynamite coming up tonight. While the WWE builds toward Night of Champions, AEW has a road to go before All In, and so far so good. We have been saying for weeks that it feels like AEW is building up that momentum and carrying forward with some very good storytelling. And look, I thought, like, Hangman last week, we didn't get to do a recap of Dynamite last week. Hangman was excellent. Like, to go out there, even if it wasn't the most fluent Spanish ever, but to go out there and cut a full-ass Spanish promo in Mexico City at Arena Mexico, it gave him an extra superstar quality that he didn't necessarily have before. And then, like, just calling his shot, like, I can't be here for the main event, but I can be here after it, and going out and attacking Moxley and the Death Riders that way. Excellent. I thought that was great. MJF just lives for all of that kind of heat. And it was like watching him. It's like he does things that if you did them even a little bit sloppily or poorly, it would be written off as, cheap heat. Yeah, just trying to cheap heat. Like he talks, and I have expressed I didn't love the Owen stuff with Jeff Jarrett, but he'll talk about your dead friends. He'll talk about past job experiences, past relationship experiences that didn't go for you. Like he gets all the low hanging fruit. But he does it in such a polished and refined way that it doesn't feel like it is cheap heat or low-hanging fruit. And you saw that on Wednesday with him taking the mask from Mystico and wearing it. Like, that is not a difficult thing to do. If you're wanting to get heat in Mexico, take the mask off of their beloved figure and put it on. Okay, you're being an asshole. That seems easy, but it's just the way that he does it. It feels elevated, even when it is the most basic of things. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see now, because you don't just want, like, that was an excellent event. They had 10,000 people in there. It critically very well acclaimed from a wrestling standpoint. It felt like a CMLL show that AEW was just a part of. I think now you can't just, and that happened, and now All In. Like, I think there needs to be a little bit more tie-in. I would love to have a little bit more of a Mystico involvement. And I mean, All In is in Texas. That seems like a pretty easy line to draw. You okay back there? We good? Dog just let out a huge sigh. She's not an MJF fan, and who can blame her, really? But I am interested to see now if there is going to be maybe a little bit more crossover there with CMLL going into All In here in Texas in just a couple of weeks now as that build continues. As for Dynamite tonight, like I said, I'm interested to see what the pivot is off of the CMLL stuff, but I am also very interested in Kota Ibushi as he comes in now. He's going to be wrestling Trent Beretta. I'm fascinated at look, Kota Ibushi, I watched him wrestle a stuffed animal when I went to WrestleMania in Dallas. Like, this is, at his peak, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Injuries have certainly slowed that over the last little while, but he is such an interesting storytelling device in the Okada-Omega situation. I can't wait to see what kind of that connective tissue is. And I think it's a good way to keep that story going while allowing Omega to sell the near-death experience he had from an elbow drop coming off of that attack a couple of weeks ago. So interested in that. Aside from that, like, there isn't a whole lot that has been built up for this show. We have a couple of number one contenders for the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royals. Not number one contender, number one slot, just who gets that, which I think is an interesting wrinkle with the Casino Gauntlet. So I really like what they're kind of putting together with that. So some good work on the Casino Battle Royal. So again, Dynamite, it's probably going to be a really good show. The momentum is really building strong for All In, and we'll see if they can hold that strong. Okay, that's going to do it. This is one of the quicker streams we've had for a podcast in a while. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Again, check out Sea of Dead, seaofdead403.ca. Get the Cannons hat. We got YYC Greek Pizza and a Worst shirt that are new, but we still have. We still got Run YYC. We got a little bit of Stampede Wrestling stuff left. We got the old Cannons hats as well. I think we got a couple of those still. So head over to the website, check it out. Also, stop in and say hi. We're going to be at Mugs on Saturday afternoon. It is Can-Am Wrestling over at Mugs. So come down, say hi. A lot of really good Calgary, Alberta, and Canada talent, Canadian talent, wrestling on that card. So should be a fun one there. Also, we are fueled by Swift Energy. Head over to swiftenergy.gg and use that code PKPrimetime for the 25% off. If you're listening, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe and the or follow button, and remember to leave a review. All that stuff helps out immensely. If you're watching on YouTube or Daily Motion, make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button, like the video, and share all of this with the people that you know. If you are watching on Twitch and Kick, thank you so much. A follow would mean the world to me. If you have the means, subscribe. That would be great. We also have the tip jar there if you want it to be a bit more of a one-time thing, but all of it is so very much appreciated. You can find me on social media. I am at Primetime Klein on X, Instagram, Blue Skies, Threads, and TikTok. The next stream, keep it on my social medias to make sure that everything is working. But the next stream planned is today, later today at 3 o'clock Mountain Time. We are going to be over live on Twitch doing some basketball stuff there. And then another podcast stream will be back here, 10 a.m. again on Thursday as we react to the NBA draft. We get ready for the NHL draft. We got UFC previews, WWE previews, a lot to cover on the Thursday show. So we're only going an hour on this one, but it's probably going to be a bit longer over the next couple of days. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.